6 items or 6 things that you need in retirement. 6. Let's see. That's 6. 6 things that you need in retirement. Hello, this is John Hauser from my YouTube channel. 75, going to be 76 this year, and I have been retired since 2018. Retired when I was almost 68. So that was almost 8 years ago. And I want to talk a little bit about retirement, how to get ready for retirement. And I'm probably going to do more than one video on this. And I have done a few videos previously. All right, age 76, retirement living, 6 must-haves. These are in kind of random order, but I think these are extremely important. At the top of the list that I have is no mortgage, no house payment. When you're getting ready to retire, you don't want to have a mortgage, you don't want to have a house payment. Now, this doesn't apply to all people in all incomes. If you're a multimillionaire or a billionaire, it probably doesn't matter that much. But if you're a person of either lower, middle, or upper income, which I felt like when I was working, I was in the upper income category, it still is better to retire if you have no house payment and have no mortgage. I'm a great believer in having things paid for and not having to make monthly payments. So number 1 at the top of our list when we were getting ready to retire was no house payment. And it started many, many years ago. Back in the early 2000s, we had a house that we had bought, and we were making monthly payments on it. We had a 30-year mortgage. We paid it off in 17 years. We paid it off 13 years early, and of course, we saved a lot of money. Not having to pay interest in all those years. Would have paid it off sooner, but had a couple of setbacks in life and business. But paid it off in 17 years. Then, when we got ready to retire, we took the money from that house, we sold that house, took that money and put it into the new house, and we were able to pay cash. And it was the one payment plan, which is a plan that I like a lot. So number 1 on my list of things important in retirement was no house payment, no mortgage. Okay, number 2 on this list of must-haves while you're in retirement is no debt. Don't carry monthly debt. Having monthly debt on a credit card where you're paying interest is a no-no. You shouldn't have that. Now, if you have a credit card that we do, we have these credit cards that we use to get the points or to get discounts, pay them off immediately on that monthly basis. When you see that total, pay it off and write them down. Write those purchases down as you go through the month so that you know how much you're going to need to set aside to pay that credit card bill. But don't carry a credit card balance. Again, no debt. Incredibly important when you're retiring. Number 3, and it's even in the same category, no car payments. When we got ready to retire, my wife and I were both saving money like crazy. We made sure that all of our cars were paid for, so we had no car payments. And when we retired, we had 3 cars. And one of those cars is a hobby car. I have a little Ford Mustang. Hobby car. But everything is paid for. Now, trust me on this. A car that is paid for gets better gas mileage. A car that is paid for is much more reliable and much more dependable than a car you're making payments on. If you were to ask me what is the best car that you can possibly have when you're in retirement, my answer is a car with no payments. No car payments. That's the way to go. That was number 3. Number 4 is very obvious. You need to have a retirement income. Whatever the source of your retirement income, whether it's 401k or Social Security, before you retire, you must know how much money you're going to have each month. And it is relatively easy to figure that out. It's not hard to sit down and make out a budget and understand what your monthly expenses are going to be, and also to understand how much money you will be receiving each month. So you need a retirement income. Okay, know what it is before you retire. Before my wife and I retired, we knew how much money we would be drawing each month. And then we've had to adjust that a little bit because of inflation. So, my wife has a 401k and I have a small pension, but we were able to adjust it a little bit so that we can live comfortably. And in addition to that, we are saving in the neighborhood, even though we're retired. When our retirement income comes in, we are saving in the amount of about $1,000 a month. We just take it and set it aside for future use. That's the thing to do. I mean, it makes you feel good when you're retired and you're saving $1,000 a month. Okay, you need a written budget. And that written budget needs to be two to three different parts. The first part of it needs to be a monthly budget. You need to know what your monthly expenses are and comparing that to your income to make sure that your monthly budget is within your monthly income. It doesn't make sense to have an income of $5,000, but your budget is $6,000 or $7,000 or more. Don't do that. I've met a lot of retired people when I was working, where I'd go into their home. I was in the remodeling business, and they wanted to do something, but they were already had all their credit cards maxed out. They had their credit maxed out, and they were spending more than they were making. And there are people who are retired. I knew somebody recently that had a mortgage, a second mortgage, and a third mortgage. And they were just going in deeper all the time. And these are people that have been retired for years. No, you don't want to do that. You want to have a written budget. And on one side of the page, you want to know how much your monthly expenses are. On the other side of the page, you want to see how much your income is, and you want to balance those two out. Don't retire unless you have enough money to cover those expenses. If you're already retired, look at your expenses and see what you can do to reduce your outgo and keep more of your money. Keeping money, to me, is fun. I like keeping money. I like it. I like to look in my account and say, oh, we got to keep that much. So a written budget. You want to have a monthly budget and an annual budget. Now, why do I say an annual budget? Because in our case, our house is paid for, and we live in an area where they have property taxes. So annually, we have to pay property taxes. Part of our monthly budget is this. We set money aside each month for the annual property taxes, for the annual property taxes on the cars. We live in North Carolina, and we have a fair amount of taxes. So each month we set that money aside. That's part of the annual budget. And you should be able to sit down and go over all of your expenses and see what your annual budget is and what your monthly budget is, and balance that out against your monthly income and your annual income. That was number 4. You've absolutely got to do this. You absolutely have to have a written budget. So number 4 was retirement income. Number 5 was written budget. You need to know what your monthly expenses are, what your annual expenses are, and then you also need to be able, on a monthly basis in that budget, to list everything that's going to be paid monthly, list everything that's going to be paid annually, and take that out of your monthly budget. And out of that monthly budget, you also need to say, how much money do we need for fun money? A lot of people don't do this. You need fun money, and fun money includes going out to eat. My wife loves to go out to eat. Go get that cheeseburger, go get that pizza, take a run down there and get a hot dog, or go once in a while go to a really nice restaurant. We know some really nice restaurants in Raleigh, which is about 45 miles from here. Go to a show, go to the beach, take a vacation. You want to be able to set money aside each month for those fun expenses. How about a Christmas fund? My wife and I have a Christmas fund. Out of that same budget every month, my wife subtracts out of the money that comes in a small amount and sets it aside for Christmas, so that when Christmas comes around, we have money to buy Christmas presents. She does the same thing with birthdays. We do the same thing with anniversaries. Each month, a little bit of money is set aside to cover all of those expenses. And again, you have to have a pretty extensive list of all of your budgets. And you have to make sure that all of these fit within your income. If a Christmas budget does not fit in your income, don't do it. You may have some years where you don't buy any Christmas presents, but don't do it if you don't have the money. It'd be more important to save money each month and set some money aside so that you have some savings on an annual basis. And to give you an example, each month we are able to save about $1,000. We take the $1,000 and set it aside for future vacations, future home repairs, future home upgrades, or if you just want to buy a new rug. But you've got to set some money aside out of your monthly budget. Okay. All right. If you're going to retire, and if you live in an area like we live, we're in a small town that's kind of rural, you need good transportation. You want to have good, reliable cars, good transportation, and you want to have cars that are paid for. That's number 6, actually, good, reliable transportation. I've told my grown children many times that the car that is paid for gets the best gas mileage. The cars that are paid for seem to have the least amount of repairs, and cars that are paid for seem to be the most reliable. So if you want to know what's the best car to have one where you have no car payment, but you need good, reliable transportation so you can get around. Well, that's about it. Those are 6 must-haves when you're in retirement, or 6 important thoughts on retirement. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Be glad to take the time and answer any questions you might have. Please like and subscribe in the process of building this YouTube channel. Thanks much.